their cash income might amount only to a few pounds a year, but they lived. Nevertheless, such a living was tough and rigorous and exacting. The land is virtually waterless, and life meant an almost permanent state of movement, mile after mile, from one meagre grazing ground to the next. To the Bedou of the desert, with his ancestral memories of tribal traditions, an approaching stranger must always be identified and proved to be a friend. Only then will be exchanged the greetings, the salutations, and the passing on of news. The Bedouin are a tough and durable people. It is their pride that they can survive where few others could. Their manner of life and even their costume have barely changed since the days of Abraham. Their folklore and their poetry are not of tranquil things, but of wars and gallantry, of loyalty, courage and conquests. Water is scarce in the desert. Out of necessity, they will cover hundreds of miles each year in search of grazing and water. After the Second World War, the oil prospectors came back to the Gulf. Fields for development had already been established in Kuwait and neighboring Qatar. But the Gulf Emirates, with Abu Dhabi the largest, were still a great speculation. In 1949, after long surveys and tests, an oil company began to drill the desert 80 miles from Abu Dhabi town. That same year, the ruler formally declared sovereignty over Abu Dhabi's offshore areas. Then, in 1953, after 2 years of negotiations, he granted a concession to explore 12,000 square miles of seabed off the coast of Abu Dhabi. The experts probed the seabed, examining its composition. And then, after seismic and gravimetric surveys, the drillers chose their spot. They set up their base on a nearby island called Das. The island was transformed into the headquarters for the underwater search. Experts from Europe and many other parts of the world started to descend on the desert island, which till then had only been inhabited by wild birds.